And it's a sort of lawyer's benefit, really. I don't think there's any advantages for Roger or us at the end of the day. I think we're both in such entrenched positions about what we felt we should or could do that there was, you know, at the end of the day, it's a matter of agreeing to differ.
Genesis isn't Genesis without Peter Gabriel, is it? I mean,
Pink Floyd, I mean, there are still people who feel that Pink Floyd stopped being Pink Floyd when Syd Barrett left. I mean, it's fine if that's an opinion. As far as we're concerned, we obviously can still attract enough people who feel that we are Pink Floyd.
And judging from the sort of response that we've been getting, I don't think many people are disappointed. And I mean, it's really a matter of going and seeing what you think. You know, I mean, if anyone thinks that it's missing a vibe, I mean, obviously, you know, there's no question about it. It's slightly different. It's inevitable. Except for one, we're doing all numbers that I sang the lead on anyway, and so bass players are tenner penny, really, aren't they?
Asking whether the music was tainted by argument, the answer is not if it's the right sort of argument, because in fact that tends to improve the quality of something. The last thing you need are a lot of people going, yes, definitely, you're wonderful. But
don't get a lot of that.
But by the time the final cut, for instance, was much more about the way power was allocated within the band and who was allowed to argue or make decisions or whatever.
There was I mean, the final cut was actually full of very specific power plays being made by Roger, substantially, in order to try and further his idea of total domination of the world. I mean, we didn't set out with any sort of template or plan to try and make it sound like any Pink Floyd period or anything. It's just as the albums have got more and more dominated by Roger, in particularly the Final Cut's case, and he's not there, obviously that a major part of the more recent albums is going to disappear, and it's going to sound inevitably a bit more like the time when all of us were a little more involved in doing it together. When we finish this tour, we'll have a long holiday and think about it. I have no idea. We got
the late 60s, I think the music became, those sort of tie-ups became less and less apparent. And I mean, I think it would bother me if I felt we were seriously promoting an experience in which drugs were part of it.
Because there were three main people involved in the making of it who disagreed on how it should be done at almost every stage, and fought like cats and dogs, and made it a misery.
It's very difficult. I think actually, you know, the one advantage that an established band has is a lot of people will buy the record anyway, and then word of mouth will say whether the record is good or not. But, you know, I think it's much more discouraging for a new band who gets slated, and then that can be the real killer. Really, they exist as a sort of, it seems to me, as a sort of breeding ground for new bands. They're very geared to the idea of supporting new music and really being pretty disparaging about the old. So we just know we're going to get killed whenever our album hits